still there. And so it's also beginning to get a little further away from the radar, so it's also beginning to get higher in elevation that we're looking at. But still an impressive lightning producer. There is rotation with that, although at this point it looks to be a fairly broad rotation. Hail producer, more than likely with that particular cell as well. And that is right now the most likely candidate of the storms that we have been tracking, as that storm will likely be moving in now to a little bit less favorable environment as it continues working its way eastward with night. Yeah.
Okay, Bill, we have another severe thunderstorm warning that was just issued. This one now is for Clark and Madison County. I'm about to go ahead and center that on the graphics, but this one is also for damaging wind and hail, but we also have a tornado possible with this one as well.
Okay. And anything on Lincoln?
I have not heard anything back on Lincoln just yet.
All right, so go back over to 2. We can show you the outline here, at least, of that particular. We've got the old tornado
they
warning.
just extended the tornado warning into southern Garrett County.
There we go. You have it showing up? Yeah. Back over here. All right. So with this is going to go until 10:30?
This one is going to go until 10:30. That's 10:30. Correct.
All righty. So the cell that we've been talking about here, the one that's been coming and now approaching Stanford, they have extended the tornado warning now to the Madison County line. That now does include Paint Lick. It includes all of the southern part of Garrett County, just clipping their Crab Orchard in Lincoln County. So we are looking at that extension that is in place. The severe thunderstorm warning that Seth just mentioned includes Richmond. It gets up toward Red House, out toward Waco, so it gets to the Estill County line. What also is going to happen at the Estill and Madison County line, the Rockcastle line, and the Lincoln line, that is where we switch Weather Service offices as well. But this particular cell right now is inclusive in Lincoln County and will be making its way toward the southern part of Garrett County. Still on a track. That one likely comes a little south of Lancaster, but it is certainly on a track that's going to be taking us toward Stanford at this point. We were showing you that the storm was trying to at least go through something of a weakening phase, but it hadn't completely dissipated out yet, so the warning has been extended for another half hour, and for that it is including Garrett County. So your NBC programs, which would be changing here at the top of the hour, we are going to be continuing at least for a little while here as the storm, as long as we maintain a circulation with it, we're going to continue to let you know. So go back over to a 2 here for a second. The storm that the tornado warning is issued for is what's now on Stanford, basically. Stanford, you are likely seeing torrential rain at this point. The lightning display is vivid. You are seeing that from your shelter. Cannot emphasize that enough, that you need to be in shelter now in central Lincoln County there, right there at Highway 27 in Stanford. So that's coming through very close to downtown Stanford at this point. As long as you were looking at WeatherBug cameras, see if you can pull up the, it might be a time lapse, Lincoln County middle.
Yeah, okay.
So with that cell going through Stanford and headed on then toward the southern part of Garrett County, again, that will likely pass south of Lancaster. So that is the tornadic cell at this point. It is the last of the tornado warnings that we have in the area. That can always change with the tornado watch that's out there. Heavy rain has now moved through central Fayette County, gone through downtown Lexington. That storm is now headed into Bourbon County, Clark County, and we've got the severe thunderstorm warning now in Madison County to go along with that. We're also looking at the other squall line sitting back here just to the west. We were anticipating that line around 10 o'clock, so it was pretty close to on schedule with that. Other strong thunderstorms do continue back through Casey County, back into Taylor as well as Adair counties, but those storms are not severe at this point. So again, you're looking there, you got Valley View. There's Richmond. The Boyle part of that warning has been discontinued, as is the 10 o'clock warning. That warning should have expired here, and it will be expiring here just now. And there you go. So now we're to Garrett and Lincoln County that we are looking at that particular warning, and we'll center that up for you. And the computer cooperates, and there was much rejoicing. Save that. So there is your current tornado warning. The storm itself is sitting somewhere very close to Stanford. The warning does indeed include Lancaster, although the path the storm was taking looks like it's going to take it a little south of Lancaster there. Crab Orchard's just barely included in that particular warning that you see. So that tornado warning is now until 10:30, and it goes all the way to the Madison County line. So you folks there by Paint Lick Elementary School, you are certainly in the midst of that warning for all the kids that we've seen there, and we've talked to the kids every time we do a Weather 101 about not to panic whenever there is severe weather, that you need to just think about what you need to do and take care of it. So again, Garrett and Lincoln County until 10:30 with the warning. We also have a severe thunderstorm warning, Yosemite to Waynesburg to Kings Mountain, southern half of Lincoln County. That is a severe thunderstorm warning for damaging winds and large hail, with the tornado warning sitting to the north of that, with the cell itself not too, well, basically on top of Stanford at this point as we are tracking that storm. It's not the Paint Lick yet. This part of the line has been bowing out, so damaging wind gusts is going to be a possibility. That's why the severe thunderstorm warning is up for folks in Madison County. And just taking a quick look at that, it wouldn't surprise me now as we get into the eastern part there, the western part of Madison County, that storm may try and up there around Kirksville along 876. Be aware of that particular storm as well. We'll keep an eye on that one. The storm itself is now getting past, one of the cells getting past Lancaster. The other potentially tornadic cell is not far from Stanford at this point. We're back on the velocity display, and again, it's not as pronounced as it was 15 minutes ago. So the storm does appear to be going through at least some degree of a weakening phase. It may do similar to what the northern storm did. As it gets closer to Madison County, it loses the ability to have shear to it, and the storm can kind of spin itself out. It still can be a severe storm producer. It's still, with the tornado watch in place, certainly something that we need to watch, and we're also going to be watching now down there, southern Casey County, central Casey County there around Liberty, where you're seeing, again, a degree of rotation. So essentially it's the southern flank of that line. There is an environment here where you've got wind feeding into it at the surface from one direction, and aloft we've got winds coming in from another direction, and that's what initiates the shear or the spinning potential that these storms can indeed exhibit. And so that's why we're seeing the tornado warnings that have indeed come up. What you got, Seth?
Yeah, well, they just extended the severe thunderstorm warning ahead of that cell. Now it's going into portions of Estill County. It's not showing up for southern Madison, but you can imagine that it's going to be there as well, and then the portions of Rockcastle.
Yeah, so this is what the storm that Seth was just talking about here. And so where you're seeing this now into Estill and the western part of Jackson County and then northern part of Rockcastle County, that is now belonging to the Jackson National Weather Service office.
10:45, and once again, that is also going to be for damaging wind gusts, large hail, and tornado possible.
Okay. And anything on the chat at all about anything in Lincoln County?
Nothing on the chat about Lincoln County at this time.
Okay. When it's safe, when it is safe, then relay information you have either to the National Weather Service, to us, or to your local law enforcement, and then it gets to wherever it needs to be so that it's properly reported. But again, do that when it's safe, not when the storm is in the midst of doing whatever it happens to be doing outside of your house. So we are looking at severe thunderstorm warnings now, Estill and Rockcastle, Jackson County. Tornado warning, there you see that, and that's Garrett and Lincoln County until 10:30. That comes up to the Madison County line. The storm itself now is getting past Stanford. So it's gone by Houstonville, it's gone by Stanford. It still has radar indicated rotation to it, and so that's how the warning and why the warning is being issued. The Doppler radar itself does not necessarily see the rotation, or doesn't see rotation per se. What it sees is wind moving in opposite directions, and that can be the indicator. It implies that there is rotation going on, and it's because of that reason when we see that aloft, especially when it's tightening, when it's increasing. We saw it earlier tonight with a storm up in Harrison County. That's a sign that the storm can indeed try and drop something. Now, these storms may also not be surface-based anymore, where stuff may be just a little bit above the deck. And if it were daytime, you might be able to see something coming down out of the cloud. But at this point, we do not know with ground truth whether or not anything has actually hit the ground or not. It is a situation where you can't take the chance. You simply cannot. Do you want to take that gamble that, okay, we're showing radar indications of rotation, but it may not be hitting the ground 5 miles from you, but it still could technically drop down or quickly drop down with very little notice. And we saw that it happened back in late February with a storm in Garrett County, ironically enough, where it hit up on top of a ridgetop and did catastrophic damage to one house. But it was the only house that happened to be hit. There's your tornado watch that continues until 1 o'clock. And with a tornado watch, it means conditions are favorable, that it's a possibility. You also notice that tornado watch ends where, well, new severe thunderstorm watch just comes out. And so
the point I wanted to make just a minute ago, Bill, is that now all of the counties that have not been put, all of the counties that are basically outside of the tornado watch. Remember, that goes until about 1 o'clock tomorrow morning, but we're also now talking about those storms moving into the eastern counties. And then as that happens, they will be a little weaker, but they're still capable of producing damaging wind gusts, large hail. So now we're still talking about severe thunderstorms that could potentially move through this area between 1 o'clock and 2 in the morning. So that's why not a tornado watch, but a little bit more downgraded, a severe thunderstorm watch has been put into effect for all of the other counties. So if you were not included in the tornado watch earlier, you are now under a severe thunderstorm watch. Does not mean it's happening. It just means that conditions will be favorable going until the end of this watch for a severe thunderstorm warning to occur. Now, what that also wants to let you know is that even though this line is weakening, there is still that chance that we could be seeing rotation in some of these thunderstorms. So just because you are in the yellow and you're under a severe thunderstorm watch, it does not mean that you may have a thunderstorm warned for a tornado. Now, of course, as that line moves east, it will be weakening, so that, of course, is the good news. But at least until early tomorrow morning, we've got the severe thunderstorm watch for everybody shaded in this yellow. And it's basically 75 corridor, but it does include Rockcastle, Pulaski, all the way down towards Wayne. And this continues all the way out towards our far eastern counties and eventually up into West Virginia. We do still have Lewis, Mason, Bracken, Robertson. These are all still included in the tornado watch until 1 o'clock this morning. So obviously that line that's producing a little bit of a slope. It's moving from our extreme northeastern counties down towards our extreme southwestern counties. So that's why you kind of have this line going through these counties. But then once again, once it crosses a little bit further east, we're losing a lot of the daytime heating. We're losing a lot of the instability. And things are starting to get better for us, not favorable for these storms as it continues to push east with that line. So that's why you now have this severe thunderstorm watch, not necessarily a tornado watch. Now, that being said, still a lot of areas that are going to be getting not just the line that's coming through, but the squall line behind it. So we're not quite out of the woods yet. Now, as those lines converge, it's going to get a little bit better, but we're still having some time where these two lines are producing very strong thunderstorms. And as Bill's been talking about all night, the rotation in these thunderstorms, not just producing the wind and the hail that we've been getting, but also that potential for rotation in these thunderstorms. Bill, have you heard anything new?
Let's see off of the fine folks at the Weather Service. The tornado watch has been canceled for Bath, Fleming, Montgomery, and Rowan.
Okay.
Beyond that, severe thunderstorm warning for Lincoln.
Severe thunderstorm.
Cancel continuous tornado warning. Radar indicated Garrett, Lincoln until 10:30, but they don't really mention anything else beyond.
So we still have that line that's kind of moving right now through Lincoln and Garrett. It's eventually going to make its way, or it's making its way right now into Madison County as well. But remember, that line stretches a little bit further south. So as this continues to march east, it's going to bring that weather with it and potentially bring in some strong to severe thunderstorms into the Estill, Jackson, Rockcastle area. Severe thunderstorm at this point. But remember, that's also the cell that's been working with that rotation. So let's get it back over to Bill, and I'm going to get back on social media.
All righty. So with our MaxTrack Live Doppler, we have zoomed in now. That's the Lincoln-Garrett County line. Lincoln County here, Garrett County there. The storm has passed Stanford. Folks in Stanford, you're okay now. The storm has passed. It is on a path that's going to take it south of Lancaster here. There's still at least some rotation, but it's not as pronounced as it was a while ago. There's a lot of wind. All that bright green you're seeing, that indicates there is still a tremendous amount of wind with this particular cell. And we're seeing a little bit of the red showing up, and watch the sweep come in here, and we'll see if anything, we've got at least an area of potential rotation there, just south there of Lancaster. So, can you do the street marking there on the MaxTrack?
Street marking on MaxTrack. Yep,
okay.
We'll get to it.
It's that highway right there, and I don't have a map in front of me. And I should know that one. Is that 39-ish? Might be. I know I've driven that road between Lancaster and Crab Orchard on my way down to the school there. Don't worry about it, Seth. Again, that's where we're seeing the rotation at this point. In fact, go ahead and take that full, Kim.
That is 39, by the way, Bill.
It is 39. Well, there you go. So near Highway 39 is where we are looking at that particular cell, and it is going to be working its way then up into Garrett County. So again, very close to Highway 39. between Lancaster headed down to Crab Orchard, and that is now in Garrett County. The cell itself, we'll bring the sweep through here again for you. This is your live Doppler. Again, it's tightening up a little bit here. Remember a little bit ago we were showing you just a couple little pixels? Well, now that rotation is tightening up some, and what that is telling you, toward the radar, away from the radar. That's your cyclonic spin there, and it's just past Highway 39 there in Garrett County. So the storm itself, they may still have some pretty strong winds there in the northeastern corner of Lincoln County, but the rotation with that now has moved into Garrett County. So for you folks there south of Lancaster, the storm is moving south of Lancaster. It is going to be headed, Paint Lick's going to be right in here, and it's going to be headed toward Paint Lick Elementary here, near or pretty close to it here at some point. That's going to be right along in there. So the storm is not far from Paint Lick Elementary. The storm, again, is out of Lincoln County, Stanford, Houstonville. Your folks are okay at this point. Crab Orchard, you're out of any tornado warning with that. Sweep's going to come by here again. And we're in what's called VHDD mode here. What that is, very high definition. This is basically 200-meter resolution. That's as good as you're going to get anywhere. And that is the cell that we are tracking at this point, and that's why the tornado warning does continue. In this particular cell, now whether or not it has damage anywhere else along its path, may have to wait for the light of day to find out, but we have tracked that rotation all the way back from Greene County with that cell, and it's maintained itself all the way now from Greene County into Garrett County. So it is on a track that will be, well, if it maintains itself into Madison County, it heads toward Paint Lick, and then eventually it may try and head up more toward Richmond. It's not there yet. You have a severe thunderstorm warning, Madison County. The tornado warning, though, is for Garrett County.
Yeah, now we're going to go ahead and the severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for Bath, Estill, Lee, Menifee, Montgomery, Powell, and Wolf. A lot of counties included on this one. That goes until 11 o'clock, and we're still talking about the same cells. So wind gust, hail, and tornado possible.
Now, as we've been watching these two different storms here, and you'll notice that this is linear, that it's a solid line, and that's why we have these severe thunderstorm warnings. It's a wind damage potential primarily. Now, you can get breaks in these lines, and when that happens, you can get a brief spin-up tornado with that. Although as it moves further east, it's moving into a less favorable environment. And then, so you've got your solid line here. Go ahead and drive this a little bit to the south here, Seth.
Sure.
And as you get down there towards Stanford, see how that cell is kind of sitting off by its lonesome? The bottom end of that cell, that's where the tornadic potential for that storm does remain. So again, they're not part of the main linear look to all that. It becomes more cellular, and that's where you can have those rotations that maintain themselves quite a bit. The lightning really is down a little bit in that particular cell. It's increased there up around Richmond. But as we head back over here again, so we've got both displays running here for you. We do continue to see that rotation maintain itself. Bright green, bright red. So that, again, our radar is indicating that there is at least rotation aloft with that. Whether or not it's hitting the ground, that part we do not know. So that's going to be coming up. That should be right about Highway 52. Should be 52 right through there.
Let me zoom in for you.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's 52.
Going east from Lancaster?
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and get that.
A little southeast. Not where it angles
that
up
is
toward
52.
Kirksville. It is 52.
Correct.
Drive the roads enough time, you kind of remember where they are. So again, and where that is on 52, that's going to be not far from Paint Lick Elementary. For the kids there, that has always been an annual trip with Weather 101. You guys know what to do. You guys know where to be. You know where your safe spots are, and that is where you need to be now as that storm is approaching Highway 52. Go ahead, Seth.
Quick update for you, Bill. We have the tornado warning has now been canceled for Lincoln County.
Okay, well, we said the storm was out of Lincoln County.
Garrett.
Yeah, the storm is well out of Lincoln County at this point, so that part is you folks have been able to stand down here for about 10 minutes.
Can you guys hear
for the
me?
storm there, it's now right on Highway 52 in Garrett County, and again about halfway between Lancaster and the Madison County line, about halfway between Lancaster and Paint Lick. So that is where that particular cell is. But on a path right now that may take it awfully close to Kirksville as you are looking there up into the northwestern part of Madison County. regardless if with the rotation, which is again indicated by our radar, there is very strong wind in association with that, so that can also be a damaging feature with that particular cell. Really, this is one of the nights here where the velocity display is almost a better tool for us than looking at the intensity display. Once you get used to just the greens and the red showing up here, it's easy to demonstrate what we are looking at, what we are warning you for, where that is. And we'll make our blanket apology here again that if you're tuning in for NBC programming, obviously tonight it's not a night for it. We have our one warm spring day, and of course we end up with springtime thunderstorms. This is the anniversary of the April 3rd, 74 super outbreak of tornadoes. This is nothing like that, but it is one of our first rounds of severe weather we have seen this spring season. And if there's one benefit to all the cool weather we have had, is that severe weather is kept to a minimum. But now that we get one warm day, we can see it.
Tornado warning now. This one is for Madison County, just east of Richmond.
Okay, so east of Richmond or west of Richmond?
East. Well, the cell right now has just moved through Richmond, but the tornado warning, as you can tell, the polygon's just off to the east of Richmond going to Waco.
Okay, so we are looking at go ahead and take that one back. We've got it set up there for you. And so this has just gone through on the weather bug camera. See if we can get EKU.
Yep, I'll pull that up.
So the tornado warning is just now being issued right there for Madison County. So it's along the eastern bypass there over toward Waco. That's going to be up to the Estill County line with that particular cell. So that is where we are looking at that showing up at this point. Would I go ahead and take that full, Kim? So go ahead and just pop that graphic. Thank you. We are going to zoom up toward that particular cell. We've been concentrating on the storm down there in Garrett County. So let's go ahead and head up. We'll eventually get you up there to the storm in Madison County. Oh, weather bug is okay. So we're looking at Madison County there. That's Eastern Kentucky University there in Richmond. And
yeah, it looks like the strongest of the cell has moved through, but I mean, impressive lightning show right now in Madison County.
And go ahead and hit 2 again, Kim.
2 different warnings.
And thank you. So we have now moved up to the storm in Madison County. So we've got Richmond there, eastern bypass. You were looking at that cell out here toward Waco. So again, the storm itself, we were showing you the weather bug camera with the heavy rain ongoing. That is now working its way into the eastern part of Madison County. And with it, waiting for another pass of radar to come by here because I want to see what happens with that cell over there by Waco. What we are looking at with that is, again, that new tornado warning, and that's until, you said, until 10:45?
That one goes until 10:30.
10:30. So that's a short fuse warning that the folks at the Weather Service put out. So that warning is going to last until 10:30 with that, so another 11 minutes with that. So these should be moving into a less favorable environment eventually here, and when that happens, we see things hopefully going more linear. And we were talking about a second ago, that linear part of the storm, where a break in the line can show up, and you can get a brief spin up like that. And in fact, that little spin that we were looking at there, it basically went away. So it may or may not still be there. It may be a very weak rotation. This is a broad circulation that we're seeing here from Waco into the Estill County line there going along Highway 52. So we're at the other end of Highway 52 from where we were showing it to you going out of Garrett County. So that storm was actually still back there on the other side of Kirksville. That should be moving into frame here shortly. And meanwhile, we continue to see that storm, the new tornado warning that has been issued. That new tornado warning for Madison County. Go over and we'll just highlight there so you can graphically see the warning that we're talking about. Go ahead and take 3. There you go. Thank you. And so that storm has passed Richmond. I mean, this is a small tornado warning. What was the genesis of that? Was it radar indicated, or was there damage?
That one was just radar indicated.
Radar indicated. So it's at the edge of their radar display, but there's that storm going out again along Highway 52 to the Estill County line. For folks there in Waco, that is where we are looking at that particular cell. That's again until 10:30. So this is a very small tornado warning. As we get into that linear structure, and the folks at the Weather Service will often do that, they make the warnings much shorter than these long track storms that we've been watching coming out of, from Greene County all the way now to Garrett County. So we'll see if that one continues to maintain its circulation as it works its way toward the Madison County line. Kevin, anything in the newsroom? Nothing. Okay, we like quiet. Quiet is a good thing when we're talking about these severe weather situations. It can be frustrating, I know, if you want to be at home watching whatever you wanted to be watching here at 10 o'clock. Then we're up here talking about storms that are nowhere near you. You've been in London, you've had nothing going on so far tonight, at least not yet. And we will watch these storms that will come eastward. Now, eastern Kentucky, southeastern Kentucky is a severe thunderstorm watch. The tornado watch until 1 o'clock is for central Kentucky and then down toward the Lake Cumberland area. Seth has just expanded that out, and as we are looking, there is to the south of Berea with that particular cell. And again, that one is trying to make its way toward Berea, although the rotation on it, we were showing that to maybe coming a little bit further to the north with time. And then the tornado warning there in Madison County until 10:30, and the tornado warning for Garrett County until 10:30 as well. So right now 10:30 is our off time with these two cells that we've been watching. And as we have been talking about these storms,